And what I promise the people of Cincinnati is that I'll listen and I'll work for them, and I'll really, really do my absolute best job. You know, our neighborhoods are changing. Some are, some aren't. It's important to have a vibrant downtown, but it's also important to have vibrant neighborhoods.
From WLWT, this is Let's Talk Cincy, presented by Western and Southern Financial Group. Put our financial strength behind you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis Fuller, and welcome to Let's Talk Cincy. Today, I have the honor of talking to a friend, but she is also the vice mayor for the city of Cincinnati. Please welcome to the program, Jan Michelle Lemon Kearney.
Thank you, Curtis. It's so exciting to be here.
Yeah.
Nice to be back.
Well, it is. You are one of the busiest people in the city. You are everywhere. And I think it's a reminder to folks how, you know, being on council, being the vice mayor, it's a tough job. It really
is a tough job, and it's supposed to be a part-time job, but I mean, there's nobody on council who would say it's a part-time job. One thing about this community council is everybody's really engaged with the community, out there in the community, not just sequestered in City Hall, and I love that. I mean, I love that culture of being out there talking to people and really being accessible, and that's all of us. And the mayor. The mayor pushes that too, so.
2023 was a busy year for everyone. It was an election year. As we now go into 2024, a lot of the issues that we faced in 23 are still on the table.
Right.
I think probably the one that gripped all of us was the crime issue. It felt like everyone was working at their hardest, but it wasn't going away. Talk a little bit about that, because I saw you out at crime scenes all the time.
Yeah, so, you know, the good news is that at the end of 2023, shootings were down. They've been going down for the last 3 years. It doesn't feel that way, and it doesn't sound that way, because one shooting is one too many. And so when you look at the actual data and you look at the shootings, including gun homicides, they are down. But we are seeing younger people getting involved, and that's the real heartbreaking part of it that you know, you saw in the West End where Dominique Davis was killed, 11 years old. You know, you're seeing teens being involved, and so that's the real heartbreaking part. You know, every life is precious, no matter what age, no matter who they are. Everybody's precious, but when you see the numbers going up, especially with young people, you have to say, what's going on? You know, why are our young people involved? And so that's something we're trying to get a hold of, and there's a lot of community work going into that. I can give you some examples. For example,
no quick fix on this.
There's no quick fix, but people are coming together and working, and it's, you know, everybody says you can't police your way out of it, which we can't, right? But the police are partners, and so the city manager's office, city council people, the mayor, they're all in the community saying, you know, what can we do together to keep the numbers going down and make them go down faster, because everybody deserves a safe, healthy neighborhood, and that's what we're working for. So, for example, in the West End, there's a program called Pivot, and it's actually in different neighborhoods, but I'll talk about the West End because that's where the, you know, the immediate focus was. So community members, people from different agencies, the police, the city manager's office, all come together every other week, and they talk about what the issues are, what are some of the root causes of the crime, and what do we do about that. And so it's not just from City Hall saying this is what we're going to do in this neighborhood. It's asking the people in the neighborhood, what do you want? What do you want to see? What's your goal? And let's talk together about how we can get there. And so that's a different culture in City Hall, and that's really important.
And as I said, there's no quick fix, but it sounds like you are very optimistic about what we could see in 2024, and it goes beyond just numbers.
Right.
It really is the people working together on this.
And a lot of it too is, you know, I have to give a lot of credit to violence interrupters. You know, people out there in the community that we don't see or we don't even know about that much. You know, in general, because they're out there really doing the work. People like, you know, Rodney Christian, Mitch Morris, Bishop Tate. Tierra Powell, Brothers Inc. is a group that people are just starting to learn about, who are out there talking to our young people. You know, I stopped over in Winton Hills recently, and Mitch Morris has this after-school program. About 50 kids were coming there, and they're reading, and they're doing art activities, and they're on the computer, and that's important to have safe spaces for young people to go and to interact with positive adults, to really give them hope and to help mentor them. Saturday Hoops is another big thing. That's in Winton Terrace. It's in the West End. It's in Over the Rhine, and Brothers Inc. is helping to bring that to Bond Hill. And so that's, and it's not just playing basketball. They've got yoga, they've got reading. I mean, they've got everything. And they just need more volunteers, more adults to step up. I should say, Irenetta Wright, our superintendent, came to Healthy Neighborhoods Committee back in December, and she talked about her Be Present program. And she said, we need more adult mentors in the schools, reading with our kids, doing math with them. I mean, she's got a great program moving forward. And she says, we just need volunteers, and you don't have to be trained. You don't need to be a teacher. They'll give you the curriculum. They'll tell you what you need to do. And so it's easy. It's an easy fix.
Yeah, very encouraging.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to take a break, and then a lot of topics that we're going to talk about in the next half hour.
All right.
Back in a moment. Welcome back, everyone. I'm talking to the Vice Mayor of the City of Cincinnati, Jan Michelle Lemon Kearney. You wanted to touch on some more about this crime issue because it really just took over the discussion, at least the last 6 months of.
Right.
So talk a little bit more.
Yeah, so, and let me start by saying there's certain areas where there's more gun violence. I mean, it's not everywhere. And when you look at those areas, you have to say, well, what's going on here? What are some of the root causes? And, poverty is one of them. You have a lot of people who are struggling, trying to survive, a lot of young people who are experiencing homelessness, trying to survive on the streets. And so that's a big part of it. So we have to address that. How do we lift people up out of poverty? How do we make sure that economic opportunity is equitable? It's not just going to, the select few, but everybody gets a chance. I was thinking too about an interview you did, and this is several years ago. You brought in, I think, Dr. Eric Ellis introduced you to some gang members, former gang members. Right. And so the discussion, I thought it was really great, was about how did they even get involved in that kind of life? And I remember one of them said, I grew up that way. He said, his parents were involved and the people he knew were involved. He grew up thinking that's what you do. And it's not till he got older and I think had a family and started having kids that he's like, I can't keep doing this. I need to do something different. And so he started buying car lots, like used car lots or something. I just remember he ended up having this booming business. But, he had served time in the penitentiary and just decided this wasn't for him. And I think for a lot of young people to have people who've already been involved in that life, those are the credible messengers we're talking about. We need people like that in the community talking to young people and then saying, here's something else you can do, here's a better way, and here's the opportunity for it. We can't just say, stop what you're doing. We've got to say, look, there's a better way, and show them that and really embrace them. And so that's a key part of it.
Let's switch gears. One of the issues that came up during the election was the railway.
Right.
And
we don't own any trains. We just own the tracks beneath it. So
right.
Yeah.
It passed, and it's my understanding that the earliest that contract will be signed, correct me if I'm wrong, will be in the spring.
Yeah, it should be in the spring. So coming up soon.
Yeah. But the money won't be available until fiscal year 2025,
right,
I believe.
Yeah. So, and they're actually working on what we can do to get some of the money in sooner, but that's all in process. So I'll give you an update on that when I get it. But it's moving forward. The good thing about it is that the money from the sale of the railway will go to existing infrastructure, either to replace it or to upgrade it. And we have a lot of needs in our city. We have, roads that need to be fixed. We have recreation centers where the HVAC systems are horrible, and it's kind of dangerous breathing that air. And so we've got to fix it. I went to the health department headquarters. They've got holes in the ceiling. There's no fire extinguisher system. I said, where are the fire extinguisher things? And they said, well, we don't have them. And I said, well, it's a 4-story building. I said, what's the plan when there's a fire? They said, we just have to get out. Okay, that's crazy. So, and we've got firehouses where, there's slats under the floor so the fire trucks don't fall through. I mean, we've got a lot of needs, and so we've got to work on that. So I'm really glad that, that the voters approved it for infrastructure. The question was, will it be equitable? Will the spending go across all of our neighborhoods? And that was Scotty Johnson's pushback. He's like,
and yours as well. I mean, both
yeah,
of you.
I voted for, for the sale, but Scotty's like, I can't vote yes until we make sure it's equitable. So we've done 2 things. One, working with Kazela Fambro, who's chief of staff for our mayor. She said, let's establish a whole office to really look at closing the wealth gap. And the closing the wealth gap idea was from a meeting we had with some ministers like Damon Lynch and Casey Smith. Right. Iris Rowley was in it. Ashley Harp, a lot of folks getting together saying, let's talk about equity. And so that's really, and Scotty, of course, too. And so Kazela said, we need a whole new office. So we're going to have the Office of Equity. And so Scotty and I are working with the city manager on that. I think that's going to be great, really focusing on how do we close the wealth gap. And the mayor already has made his financial freedom plan, and he's moving forward with that. So there are a lot of good things going on. The other thing is, how do we make sure that our underserved neighborhoods get a little bit extra? Because equity doesn't mean equal. It means if you've gotten less in the past, it's your turn to get a little bit more now so that you can move forward. And so we call them the Rising 15 neighborhoods, where those neighborhoods will get a little bit more, and also money from a different pot to do new infrastructure, to do new capital projects, to do development that they haven't had, but community driven. Again, we can't tell the community, this is what you need, this is what we're going to do. It's like, let's talk about what you want and let's work on how to make that happen.
And when you look at, as we get ready to go to a break, when you look at, and just a reminder, 52 neighborhoods, they are so different. What's needed in Avondale versus,
South Cumminsville.
Cumminsville.
Yeah.
It's just night and day. So you have to look at these communities separately. Okay, we're going to take another break, and then we will be back with the Vice Mayor to talk about more issues in 2024. Welcome back. This is a real treat to get a chance to talk to my friend, but she is also the Vice Mayor of the city of Cincinnati, and that is Jan Michelle Lemon Kearney. We've talked about crime, talked about the railway. The streetcar.
The streetcar.
The streetcar is one of these.
Still there.
Still
it's doing
there.
well, though. It's really doing well.
It is, and it's always been a little off track, no pun intended.
Okay, that's cute.
And from the perspective of a lot of people. But the ridership is up. It doesn't cost anything to ride.
Streetcar is free, and ridership is actually up. I think we closed 2023 with close to 1 million riders. I mean, really, really good. Numbers are coming up every year, and more people are riding the streetcar. And can I just say, so people understand the streetcar has really two goals. One is definitely transportation, but the other part is development. And so you can see along the streetcar route, there's been more development. And it's paying off because, there's something called the VTICA, the voluntary income tax credit, that developers, 15% that from the tax abatement that developers pay for the streetcar. And so it's really increasing from just a low amount to getting higher and higher and higher. I think we're up to like 800,000, and I think that's close. It might not be the exact number, but that's going into that streetcar pot. So it's working.
And we have an obligation in the media to really tell that streetcar story. I think we have tried because many cities have similar projects designed to do the same thing that we're doing here.
Yeah, about 15 cities, I think, have streetcars.
Yeah. There's always been a push, though, I think, by many to expand the streetcar. That's always been the discussion. It needs to go up to Clifton. It should do this. And I think many people are thinking of the old streetcars, from years ago. But talk about the discussions of expanding the streetcar.
Well, you know, the original plan back in 2000, whatever, 7, I don't know, I might have the wrong year, but, you know, way back there,
Yeah.
Before I was even on city council, it was supposed to connect uptown and downtown. And then, you know, the state decided, I think the governor, Governor Kasich said, we're not going to do this. We're giving that money back, you know, we're taking it back from you all. So it couldn't, so it just did that loop from Finley Market to the banks. And so people were really disappointed about that. But now there's a discussion, not a plan, not even a plan, but just a discussion, because, you know, you have to be open to new ideas. Some folks on council, I know Councilmember Kramerding and Councilmember Mark Jeffries have looked at what some of these other cities are doing, like Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other cities with streetcars are talking about expansion. It doesn't mean we will. It might not be right for Cincinnati, but you always have to be open to looking at something. There is infrastructure money from the federal government. We're not going to spend our railway infrastructure money, as far as I know, on looking at this. So we're really trying to make sure that the infrastructure money that we have here goes to our existing infrastructure, as we said, and the things, the deferred maintenance, that kind of work that has to happen here. But with the streetcar, it's open for discussion, and so it's open for community engagement. But I don't want people to panic and say, "Oh, we're about to expand." No, it's always a conversation, and so it's a matter of getting information. Is this something that the people of Cincinnati want? Is this something that will be helpful in terms of connecting downtown and uptown? Now, that said, we passed issue 7 several years ago. So, you know, our Queen City Metro, our SORTA, I mean, they've got money and they're expanding. They're doing bus rapid transit. There are 2 new routes that are going to start. I think they should be ready by next year. One up Reading Road, one on Harrison, and they have plans for more. They're extending their bus routes, the times, the locations. And so, you know, is transportation uptown something we need? We have to look and see, is that something that's going to help us?
And people have to be a part of the system.
Right.
Most people are so quick to just hop in their car and not use the mass transit, because some cities have used the streetcar and will have sort of like transit stations.
Yeah.
And use a bus to then take up the hill. That's a dedicated route to go up to Clifton or
yeah, because we definitely can't go up Vine Street with the streetcar.
Right.
So that's not going to work. But there are some flatter places we can go, and people have talked about what about connecting Camp Washington and, you know, Clifton and all of that. I mean, the uptown, there's a lot of development, a lot of jobs coming to the uptown area, and so the uptown consortium is weighing in too. You know, UC, Jeff Kramerding says it's just an island out there. So how do we connect that? But, you know, is the streetcar the answer? Do we need development along that streetcar route? That's one thing. Do we need transportation? Do we have enough coming up with the metro? All of those are questions that have to be answered. And then who's going to pay for it? Because
as always,
yeah, we have to look at the federal infrastructure dollars, and because we've got a lot that we need to do here with the dollars that we have. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's open for discussion and public comment. I mean, it's all about everybody working together. Yeah. But you never want to say we're not going to talk about it. Let's not even look at it. I mean, that wouldn't make sense. So of course we're going to talk about it. We're going to always look at it. We always look at, you know, what's best for the city. Everybody gets to have input and then make that decision based on the evidence and input.
You see why she's the vice mayor, huh?
I mean, it's, you know, there's no easy answer, right?
There is no easy answer, but you have to gather
the info, and you can't be closed-minded.
Absolutely.
So we want to come up with the best answer, and that's all of us working together.
All right, we're going to take our final break and then come back. An interesting discussion on the other side. Back in a moment.
I'm looking at 3 black women chemists and looking at the field of STEM, so that's science, technology, engineering, and math. Like the proportion of African Americans in STEM jobs is like 6%.
How about that? Yeah. You remember that?
Flashback.
Jan Michelle Lemon Kearney, the vice mayor of the city of Cincinnati, contributor to Let's Talk Cincy when it first started. and had been the host of Issues
Co-host.
for like 20-something years.
I know. Because you invited us on back in the early days,
Yeah,
back still when you were down on Elm Street.
That's right.
So,
that's
yeah.
right. And then and thank goodness you were there because it
Well, you
continued.
left, you ran for mayor, and then you came and you're like, I'm about to run for mayor. Go ahead, do the show. I'm like, okay. So.
We taped the show that day. I'll never forget, and going in and talking to the bosses.
And we should say you almost won too.
Yeah, I
you
almost
were pretty,
won.
I mean, you came
Yeah.
into that race at the last minute. And the other day when we were talking about social media and how
Right.
in like 24 hours you got 5,000 signatures.
Yeah, isn't that
I mean,
something?
it was amazing.
Yeah,
And
I needed 5,001.
well, yeah, well, no, you did such a great job.
Here's another reminder of your work here on Let's Talk. Take a look at this.
Good morning. How are you?
Thanks for having us in your beautiful home.
You are quite welcome. You're quite welcome. Glad to-
So, Veda, what about the safety issue? I know people asked you, why would you move here? You were in this abandoned block.
I was actually very intentional about Over the Rhine
Okay.
and in the West End.
How about that, huh?
Veda Hill.
Yes,
Woo,
yes.
Love him. He's so great.
You were doing great stuff. People should know that you are a co-founder, I guess, of SESH Communications.
Right.
Which
bought the Cincinnati Herald.
That's
but the
right.
Cincinnati Herald was started in 1955 by Gerald Porter and Marjorie Parham.
Yeah. I want to talk about your involvement in the media. We have a couple of minutes. I want to end on that.
Okay.
I know that you are media savvy, and the Herald is doing great things. You stepped away from that because of your role.
Yeah, I thought, I wanted to not be so associated with the Cincinnati Herald and really not to be involved in the day-to-day. I mean, I still pay the bills and I do payroll, and then I just stay out of it. You know, when I first got on city council, I would still go to meetings with the Cincinnati Herald, and Walter White took over as publisher.
Yes, yeah.
And so I found myself saying, well, why are you doing it that way? Why don't you do this? And I realized, you know what? I can't shut up, so let me just not go. So I just stepped back. Walter's doing a great job. He's really moved into that social media digital space, moving us forward, because you can't just be print anymore. You've got to be out there digital, and so he's really growing the business. Daddy-Daughter Dance is coming up February 24th, Duke Energy Convention Center. Hope to see you there.
Which has grown.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
amazing. Yeah.
It grew from like 50 people at the Melrose Y, then we went to the Community Action Agency, and then some hotels, and now we're over 1,200 people every year, dads and daughters, and it's a beautiful sight to see. And we watch your daughter grow up.
That's true.
Yeah, little Faith, who's now in college.
In college,
So, yeah.
with your son.
Yeah, with little Asher, who's now in college.
Yeah.
So.
You're doing a great job down at City Hall. Thank you for
you.
coming here. Best of luck in 2024.
Thank you. You're doing a great job here too. I mean,
well.
you're everywhere, and you're always emceeing all these events, and you bring so much here to Channel 5.
Now I know it's time to say goodbye.
No, I mean, you're wonderful. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you
kind.
for all
Hey,
you do.
That's all the time we have. She'll be back soon. Have a great day.